news presented by Eris Stewart. Good morning, Eris.
Good morning, Sophie.
The headlines.
Paul Béranger reverses course as the MMM confirms it will remain in government after promising talks with Prime Minister Navin Ramgoolam. Joanna Béranger says the youth wing remained united throughout the crisis as ministers Jiten and Boulel welcomed the MMM's decision to stay the course. Mauritius prepares to welcome President Emmanuel Macron with a packed 24-hour visit focused on energy, security and strategic cooperation. Government unveils ambitious green energy strategy with 50 measures to transform public sector practices. Safia's educational farm in Verdun offers struggling teenagers a path to confidence and opportunity through hands-on learning. More details in this bulletin. In world news, drone strikes ignite Turkish tanker in Ukraine's Odessa region amid intensifying Russian attacks. And in sports news, Turkey suspends over 100 professional footballers in massive betting scandal. Paul Béranger and the MMM will ultimately remain in government. The decision came yesterday afternoon after the MMM's Central Committee meeting in Bobassa, Rose Hill, even though the Deputy Prime Minister had insisted over the weekend that his departure was final. This turnaround is said to have followed a decisive exchange with Prime Minister Navin Ramgoolam around 2:30 p.m. Paul Béranger spoke of promising discussions with the head of government, particularly on electoral reform, the fight against drugs and the management of Air Mauritius. He also addressed the death of Muzamil Hossein Bakis, who died in Conleview in an accident caused by a driver under the influence of drugs. Highly critical of the police, Paul Béranger said his meeting with the victim's family deeply moved him and that he could not ignore their appeal for him to stay in government and continue the fight. And staying on this news, after this turn of events within the MMM, Joanna Béranger insists that the youth wing was never confused. According to the junior minister, the message delivered during the last Central Committee meeting was clear: remain united behind the leader. For her part, Minister Jyoti Jiten recalls that both party members and the public placed their trust in the governing alliance, emphasizing that compromises are sometimes necessary and that the work continues. Minister Arvin Boulel, meanwhile, also welcomes the MMM's decision to stay in government. He acknowledges that differences exist, but says what matters most is keeping the government on track to build a better society. And in other news making headlines, the country is dressing in the colors of the French Republic just 3 days ahead of the official visit of President Emmanuel Macron. He is expected on Thursday around midday for a 24-hour visit with a busy schedule. Meetings, tributes and discussions will be on the agenda. A major focus will be energy security. France is offering support for reforms at the CB as well as an investment loan for the water sector. The government has launched a major green energy project aimed at accelerating the sustainable transition within the public service. The strategy includes 50 measures targeting both the way public buildings are constructed and daily actions to reduce energy consumption. A workshop was held yesterday to discuss the implementation of the plan. Authorities highlight that this represents a formal commitment to reducing the environmental impact of public sector activities while balancing economic development with the green transition. The government is also revisiting its 2030 target, now aiming for 60% of energy production to come from renewable sources. According to the ministers present, this demonstrates a clear determination to accelerate the country's ecological transformation. And in other news, in Verdun, the educational farm run by the NGO Safia supports young people facing academic failure through hands-on learning. Here, the land becomes a tool for education and sometimes a springboard to a new life. Through practical activities, cultivating crops, caring for animals, understanding the cycle of life, these teenagers regain self-confidence and sometimes discover a potential career path. We listen to more on this report, voiced over by Shehzad Juman.
At just 15 years old, Wilson took his first steps at Safia's education farm with the ambition of making his way in agriculture. 6 years later, he works there as a full-time farmer. Wilson Gopi says that ever since his childhood, he has enjoyed working the land, which has always been his motivation. Like him, other young people gradually find their own rhythm. At Safir, learning happens through hands-on activities, gardening, animal care, and natural composting. Oceane Ravina says she enjoys agriculture and hopes to build a career in the field in the future. Founded in 2006, this educational farm welcomed 30 students this year, aged between 11 and 16. Edle Morea, manager of Safi Educational Farm, says that this project combines practical agriculture. Here, the days revolve around working the land, but also around personal development. It's a different approach to education, one that allows each student to progress at their own pace.
And it's 9:05. You're listening to RM1. We move to international news. A drone struck a Turkish-flagged flank tanker and set it on fire in Ukraine's southern Odessa region on Monday. Officials said a day after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signed a deal to import U.S. liquefied natural gas through the area. The MT Orinda was hit while offloading liquefied petroleum gas at Ismail port, Turkey's Directorate for Maritime Affairs reported. All 16 crew members evacuated and no one was injured, it added. Russia has repeatedly attacked the Odessa region with drones, missiles and artillery, especially its Black Sea ports, since launching its full-scale invasion of Ukraine nearly 4 years ago.
Les actus sportives.
And finally in sports, Turkey's football authority temporarily banned 102 top-tier club players on Thursday after a widening betting scandal. The Turkish Football Federation suspended 25 players from the Super League and 77 from the second-tier First Division, with bans ranging from 45 days to 1 year. Galatasaray and Turkey defender RM1 was suspended for 45 days. His club teammate and Turkey under-21 centre-back Metehan Baltaki was handed a 9-month suspension. Konyaspor and Senegal winger Alassane Ndao received a 12-month ban. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned now to the Intermit playlist until 10 a.m.